At the outset, I would like to briefly introduce about the society and this lecture series. The Indian Society of Criminology was established in 1970 at the Department of Criminology, University of Madras, with the objective to advance the study and application of criminology and allied sciences. Over the last 55 years, the society has grown into a national professional body with over 2,200 members, including criminologists, sociologists, psychologists, legal scholars, police officers, correctional administrators, social workers, and policy professionals from India and abroad. The society was founded by some of the most distinguished figures in Indian criminology and criminal justice. Over the decades, the ISC has played a vital role in shaping criminological thought in India. It has organized 45 All India Criminology conferences, published the Indian Journal of Criminology, instituted nationally recognized awards, and conducted programs for academia, law enforcement, the judiciary, civil society through its affiliated institutions and members. However, in recent years, criminology in India has increasingly shifted its focus towards forensic science, legal studies, and victimological framework. While these are undoubtedly important, this shift has often come at the cost of core criminological inquiry, theoretical engagement, sociological explanations of crime, life course perspectives, and critical reflections on criminal justice systems. Yet, during the same period, criminology as a discipline has expanded significantly across India, with a growing number of universities offering criminology programs and rapidly increasing student and research community. It is against this backdrop that the Crime, Justice and Society Dialogue Lecture Series has been conceived. This lecture series is envisioned as a sustained bi-weekly academic platform bringing together scholars from India and across the world to engage in meaningful dialogue on crime, justice and society. The primary aim is to re-anchor criminological thinking, to reconnect students and early career scholars with theory, empirical research, comparative perspectives, and critical scholarship while remaining attentive to contemporary realities and policy relevance. This is in particular directed at students, research scholars, and early career academics who often have limited exposure to sustain international scholarship beyond conferences or textbooks. By creating a regular, accessible space for interaction with scholars, we hope to inspire critical thinking, strengthen disciplinary foundation, and nurture the next generation of criminologists in India. This lecture is a small but sincere step in the direction of challenging dominant narratives and offering evidence-based insights into crime, justice, and societal change. I would also like to place on my record my sincere gratitude to the leadership of the Indian Society of Criminology for their constant encouragement and support for this initiative, particularly Dr. N.K. Chakravarti, President ISC, Dr. Madhav Somasundaram, Chairperson ISC, and Dr. M.D. Alan Sarvakumar, Secretary ISC, and all other office bearers of the Society whose guidance and trust have made this series possible. I once again welcome all of you to this inaugural lecture and sincerely thank our speaker, Dr. Vipin Vijay Nair, for agreeing to be part of this journey. Dr. Vipin Vijay Nair is an associate professor at the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences, OP Jindal Global University, where he also serves as chairperson of the school doctoral committee and deputy director of the Center for Victimology and Psychological Studies. He pursued his doctoral research on coping mechanisms of victims of commercial sexual exploitation, and his dissertation was recognized with the Best PhD Thesis Award in 2022. He is also the recipient of Fellow of the Indian Society of Criminology Award. His expertise spans victimology, financial criminology, cybercrime, restorative justice, penology, and forensic psychology, and he has over a decade of teaching, research, and academic leadership experience. With that, I once again thank you all for joining us today. I also kindly request all participants to mark their attendance by filling out the Google form shared in the chat box to facilitate the issuance of certificates. I now invite Dr. Vipin Vijay Nair to take the session forward. I hope today's session marks the start of many enriching conversations in the months and years to come. Over to you, Dr. Vipin.
Thank you very much. And I would wholeheartedly want to thank Indian Society of Criminology to take this initiative, which is on crime, justice, and societal dialogues, because it is important that we talk about criminology where there are other allied disciplines which are also running past us, where we should focus on criminology at a core. So thank you, and thank you very much for inviting me for the inaugural lecture. So again, as it has been discussed and it has been pointed out, so I would be focusing on a very important topic because it also aligns with my research area and the area of expertise that I've been developing over the past 10 years, focusing on how in digital age criminology has been shaping. So I'll take few examples. I'll highlight the emerging trends. A lot of you might be hearing such kind of news, such kind of cases, but it is important for scholars and students who are emerging and budding criminologists. They can know about the prospects, they can know about how we can utilize such things in terms of research, in terms of publication. So those are few areas that I would be focusing on. So I'll just share my screen so that it is also more engaging for all of you. So I believe my screen is visible. And at any point, if you feel you are unable to hear me and there is some other question, please feel free to raise your hand, put it in the comment box. I'll be happy to take it maybe even in between or at the end of the session. Okay, so I'll keep it brief. I would want at least 10-15 minutes that we have for any kind of discussion or any kind of dialogue that is very essential for this session. So the topic that I suggested and which was also agreed by the leadership was, where is criminology heading or where is criminology going in this digital age? Because if you will see, traditionally we have been focusing on more of blue collar crime, we'll be focusing on street related crime, crime which is more physical in nature. But now with the ongoing, I would say, diaspora of how crime has moved into technology facilitated crimes, it is important that we acknowledge the emerging crimes and also expand our boundaries in terms of research, in terms of publication, and even in terms of teaching and the practice that we are working on. So that is the major objective of today's session. And what we would be engaging is, we'll be understanding how criminology, with the change of the technology or the digital facilitated technology, or I would say the ambit of cyberspace, internet, there is a structural transformation. Previously, we used to see the criminal. Previously, we used to engage with the criminal or perpetrator offender. But now, with the digitization, with the realm of artificial intelligence, the language learning model, and even the performance economics, that we need to succeed digitally, and with the aspect of global village, the connectivity which has moved beyond our jurisdiction has changed the structural aspect of criminology, how we need to see. And that is where we are now focusing on the emerging trends, the new crimes which have come, and which has not only focused on who the criminal or offender is, the offender organization that we talk about, where it was organized crime previously, mafias used to be there, there used to be money laundering which was more physical. It has now subsequently changed with an ambit of the differentiation or alteration of organized criminals, offenders, the pattern, the modus operandi that we are talking about, the evidence aspect, what needs to be presented in order to cater to defense, or in terms of stating that the person is not guilty, or it's a person who is actually an offender or an accused who needs to be held accountable or convict for it. And even the jurisdiction limit. Previously, it was the physical ambit. Somebody would come, rob, somebody might kill, commit any kind of sexual assault or so. All of these have now transitioned into a digital space. So those are aspects that I would be focusing on. And moving from the previous, I would say, generation of criminology, where we are focusing on a territorial crime, that I know that this person has committed crime in this city, this particular district, this particular area, which was more localized. Now we are moving forward to understand a network-based crime, may it be related to phishing, may it be related to service denial, even algorithm-mediated communal violence. How different algorithm leads to showing us videos which can incite communal violence, and even the transnational infrastructure. Because of internet and cloud servers available, it is very easy to move beyond a jurisdiction, move beyond a particular territory. So this is the foundation which I want to lay, and this is based on a number of research projects and research that I've been working on. So what I would want all of you to learn in today's session, and not just learn, I would want that you inculcate these kind of objective in your day-to-day life, because I know many of you might be undergraduate or masters or scholars also in your early career stage, where you might not be very well aware that what should be my area of expertise, how should I go forward in exploring certain kind of research area. So those are few aspects that I will be highlighting today, so that it would be helpful for all of you to proceed in this emerging area or allied discipline of the digital space, or when you talk about any kind of cyberspace perspective. So one, we will be understanding the structural change, how digital criminality have processed or progressed. Second is what are different kind of emerging crimes. Because of positive time, I would not be able to go in depth of each and every crime, or I would say breadth of all the types of crime, but I have taken few which have been exploding, which have been emerging at a rapid pace. So those are few which are related to ransomware, AI related fraud, cryptocurrency related money laundering, or online exploitation, which could be related to deepfake or any aspect of sextortion. All of those which are more cyberspace enabled. Third thing that we'll be focusing on today is understanding how the traditional criminological theory can now be extended into digital space. And I would want to emphasize all the scholars or all the budding criminologists that now try to utilize all the traditional theories that you might be studying in your class, or you might be learning via different kind of sources, to see how it can be extended and utilized in cyberspace. And the last few, I would say, topics that I would want to touch upon, because until and unless you provide a novelty in the work that you're doing, the research that you're focusing on doesn't provide a new idea. You are just going round and round and would be part of a herd. So it is important that you understand the new age or emerging trends. You contribute in a interdisciplinary, or I would say focusing on the cyberspace or digital space, and what all could be the novelty that could come out of this particular field or this particular area. And the last is few ethical, legal, and policy framework that needs to be understood, because even if we are in a nascent stage of developing large number of, I would say, policies, acts, and different kind of legislation, it is important that we understand all of it and incorporate that in our day-to-day research framework, teaching, and practice framework. So now, just sharing with you, I think you might have also learned about few theories which focuses about why people commit crime in digital space or cyberspace. And there are three major. I have taken nuances from different theories, and I have just highlighted here. This would be something which would be really helpful for you. And anyone who would want, I would say, references, please feel free to reach out. I'll give you all the papers which would be helpful for you to understand this. So one thing is the scale or the magnitude of crime. Previously, if we talk about fraud, previously, if we talk about any kind of financial crime, which was more related to blue collar crime, white collar crime, it was one person, one company. But the technology transformation has helped perpetrate in a way that they can go to thousands and lakhs of individual with just one or two clicks. So there are aspects of phishing, which could be mail related phishing, voice related phishing, SMS related phishing, and botnets, which create different kind of hyperlinks, which when you go to different kind of clone websites, you click on it and there will be different kind of, I would say, fraudulent framework, fraudulent opportunity and avenue which would be given to you. So this is one, I would say, structural change that we have seen over the period of time in terms of digital transformation. The second is the anonymity and obfuscation, which is focusing on how people can obscure themselves behind closed doors or behind a wall. So with the use of encryption, with the use of VPN, the virtual portable network, where I can show my network from any country because of the VPN system that I can enable in my device or in my mobile phone, which will give me obscuring from legality, even though there are other ways that you can check and you can get arrested, or even you will be apprehended for it. But it gives, I would say, a temporary obscuring from the prosecution of criminal justice framework. And from the previous, I would say, digital money, which was transferring via net banking, or you were transferring your balance from your account to another account, to obscure and create anonymity. Now a lot of transaction by these financial criminals, or even say organized criminal, have moved into cryptocurrency. And there are multiple platforms. One of the platforms which also was under a scam, which was FTX collapse, which happened in 2022, where Mr. Sam Bankman, which was one of the biggest, I would say, cryptocurrency owner, the CEO of FTX, that was also getting involved in these kind of organized crime or these kind of financial crime, where people were investing cryptocurrency, because tracking and going forward to understand who is behind the entire framework becomes difficult because you have anonymity attached to it. And then there is dark web, the onion router, and there are a number of other, I would say, dark web platforms where you can go forward and sell illegal stuff. You can go forward and purchase illegal stuffs, which is again, I would say, a digital transformation which previously used to happen physically, have now transformed into a more, I would say, online sphere which is there. Now, platformization is more about how you are creating a platform which will act as a crime. So crime as a service. So you come out with different kind of toolkits saying that, okay, use this and you might get 10x of your amount. You might come as ransomware as service. You will ask a person to install a particular application, but then it will corrupt the file, and then you will be asking ransom for it. So there are large number of platforms which are marketplaces, which are fraudulent marketplaces, all of those which hampers the service or the product that the person is using. So these are three things that I wanted to discuss with all of you to make you understand how we have moved from the physical space to a digital space. And just to give you, I would say, an emphasis on there's a dedicated assessment which you can also find online, which is given by Europol, focusing on the Internet Organized Crime Threat Assessment. So what they have focused on is that there has been a professionalization of cyber criminal networks, which means that individuals have started collaborating and joining online rather than meeting in person. Everything happens online. A lot of time people don't even know the faces or identity of the individual, but they want to engage or create a hybrid space where a large number of people are gathered online who give commands to people offline, and none of them know each other. It's just an online identity which is creating them as part of a network or making them as part of a network. And because of this digital environment, we are able to reduce the traditional physical presence of guardianship, where we are able to increasingly target large number of individuals. So these are few aspects which are very essential for us to understand. And one can also relate this, as I was talking about, extending our traditional criminology theory to the new age cyber space, is also the routine activity theory, where you can also see in cyberspace how routine activity theory plays a very important role in terms of motivated offender, vulnerable victim, and the absence of capable guardian. So it fits the entire, I would say, framework very well. So that's one aspect that I wanted to highlight. So I'll just share with you few cases, real life cases, and few of the ways how you can also utilize this in your research. We at Jindal are also focusing on few of the publication and research project which is focusing on this, because of few of the softwares and equipments that we have at our end. So just to share with you how AI and AI based platform and softwares are enabling different kind of offenses. One is voice cloning for impersonation call. I'll give you a few of the case example. You might have heard about it. So a year back, in this was a case in Texas. Same has happened in India also, but I'll give you a case where a larger amount was involved. So a call came to a mother, and on the other hand, the mother was hearing her daughter's voice, and the daughter said, my mom, my phone got switched off and I'm in urgent need of $10,000 because I have to pay a fee. And I forgot that today is the last date. So I am with my friend. This is my friend's number. Can you send the money to my friend's number, because I can't access my mobile, and I forgot a charger and I'm unable to get a charger for my phone. The mother was, because of the trust, because of the affection that mothers would have for daughters, and hearing the voice instilled the sense of trust and compassion. She was like, yes, daughter, I'll just send it. So she sent $10,000, and she doesn't follow anything after that. And in the evening, when daughter comes, the mother checks that were you able to receive the money and did you fill the form, etc., etc. And the daughter was shocked, and the daughter said that, what are you talking about? I don't even know what $10,000 are you talking about. And then the mother felt very, I would say, traumatized, that how is this possible? It was her, and I heard her voice. It can't be wrong. I can't be wrong on that. And that was only and only because of the voice cloning. And I'll give you the modus operandi how this is taking place, and how, as scholars, you can prevent, advocate other individual. So there are voice cloning apps. What it does is, people who have public profiles, so they will add you as friends, may it be on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc., etc. And if in case you are speaking, let's say you are doing a vlog, let's say you have put a story or you have put any kind of videos on your profile, and where your original voice is available. So they will go, and there are multiple ways to download videos of individual profiles. There are different platforms, so they will download your video. They will use that voice sample to create different kind of scripts, and that script would be used when they will call your family members or relatives, and then that would be played. So I highly recommend that individuals who have certain kind of, let's say, aspects of having public profiles, please be very, if you want, you can add on certain kind of, I would say, background videos, background musics, so that it will tamper a little bit of your voices, because there have been high number of cases, not just in India, globally, where voice cloning has led to financial crime. And then you might have seen, I think one of the viral, I would say, deep fake was of Miss Rashmika Mandana, if you have seen that, where somebody's video was fabricated with deep fake and putting the actress face, and that has been happening to large number of individuals. I've just taken that name because that was very
Attended the
common.
certificate hotel.
So that was very common and popular in terms of a deepfake. So in that base, there are
ಅದೆಲ್ಲ
non-consensual sexual
Microsoft Teams
images,
కూడా
synthetic
ചെയ്യുന്നത്.
pornography, which is growing over the period of
And
time. That's one aspect which is very essential, that we understand how, with the advent of AI, different kind of non-consensual sexual images, synthetic pornography can be very, I would say, harmful or dangerous to individual. Second, third aspect with respect to AI, I believe many of you might also have seen, there are large number of fabricated or AI generated political information which is coming. A large number of prime ministers and presidents video come into picture when they are in conflict or when they are in political tension, to create misinformation and disinformation. Very recently in our parliament also, a minister showed photos which was AI generated, again not knowing the authenticity and the genuineness of the photo. Because of lack of awareness of such kind of softwares and such kind of information, a lot of people make mistakes, and a lot of time it could also lead to legality, wherein there could be legal action against individual who go forward and publish such kind of political disinformation, or even any misinformation which could lead to defamation and so forth. The last one in terms of AI-based deepfake is, which is growing and emerging, is the corporate related fraud, where social engineering with the use of hit and trial, or sending links, sending emails, where the CEO, CFO will click the particular link and the bank account will subsequently get emptied. Those are aspects where a number of corporate senior leadership have faced fraud and financial crime aspects. So these are few, and there are many others, but because I wanted to cover very foundational aspects of AI-enabled cybercrime, AI-enabled financial crime, I'm focusing on this. And now, why and how you as emerging scholars, emerging students contribute is, do take you do I would say make use of softwares which are available in order to go forward and utilize data set, utilize tools which will help you AI enabled, I would say, research. There are softwares which focuses on layered voice analysis. There are softwares which focuses on eye tracking. There are software which focuses on facial expression analysis. There's software which also focuses on your simulations with respect to simulation exercises. So all of these are very relevant, where you can utilize such AI-based or LLM-based models in order to go forward and help you perform your research better. And there have been, I would say, AI-based or LLM-based applications which also help in literature synthesis. So that's, again, I would say, a wider spectrum that you can go forward. And this is something which is helpful, where you can contribute towards the admissibility and the reliability of such kind of deepfake video detection tools, where you can test in terms of cultural relevance and cultural variability, how it is relevant in Indian context. So those are few things I wanted to highlight in the realm of AI-based crime. So these are few of the cases that I've already highlighted. So it leads to emotional manipulation, family trust has been exploited, and again, reporting becomes a very difficult aspect because of embarrassment. So these are few aspects from both criminological and victimological and even penological aspect, which is very effective and relevant, that we need to understand. Few slides back, I was talking about ransomware as a service, which talks about how institutionalized cyber extortion takes place. Very recently, if you remember, AIM's website got attacked. It was, I would say, under radar for closer to 6 to 7 days, and they were asking to send so and so amount of cryptocurrency to a particular account in order to release the website. And it took a large number of, I would say, cyber experts and cybersecurity experts in order to get the entire infrastructure at place. And these are aspects where a lot of these ransomware are focusing on a state-sponsored, I would say, attack, where they want to target a government institution, government website, or political websites, and so on and so forth. There have been cases where even political party websites have been attacked. So what they usually do is they'll partner and integrate with different individuals and organizations across globe, which would be the affiliate programs. They will say that you have to perform this, and we will be sharing our revenues, whatever we'll be making, if in case that comes into picture. And their main purpose is to target websites and organization which will be able to provide money, where again, after a certain time, they would want to double the extortion, triple the extortion. And it is not right now just a financial crime. I would want to highlight this. Over the period of last 5 years, we have seen that they have started attacking not just government organization, but energy sector, supply chain sector, healthcare sector. And this is one aspect there they we would want to highlight it as an organized crime enterprise, which is an emerging digital organized crime enterprise, where a lot of organized crime focusing on denial of services, ransomware, malware, spyware also at times, which is focusing on certain political organization or business infrastructures, which has a critical, I would say, contribution towards the economy. As I mentioned, healthcare, energy, and supply chain. So one example I want to highlight, I'm unsure how many of you have read about this case. It was very popular. So this happened around COVID in US. So it's a colonial pipeline attack where supply chain was impacted. So they tried to find out loopholes in the supply chain, where a large number of, I would say, supply chain which was happening, online transfer, online tracking of different kind of services, government services, it was disrupted. And the fuel supply which was provided were from one particular pipeline, which is again more physical, but the entire infrastructure was controlled digitally. So that is one aspect which has led to disruption. One, which showed the supply chain vulnerability. Second, the critical dependence on online or the cyberspace control to check which particular fuel is going to what particular district, what particular state. And there need to be more of state awareness and advocacy, where they would be more resilient to such kind of criminality or any kind of, I would say, extortion, where they are asking for crypto to be transferred to n number of, I would say, account or n number of platform. And US is still, I would say, on a better hand. India still have to, I would say, put their best foot forward and reach out to a level where we could be able to trace such kind of cryptocurrency. And crypto tracing recovery is very important, which many countries have started. And I think Interpol has also taken it very seriously to account that if any request comes in, they would be able to assist. So these are aspects which is not just individual or community based. It has a policy wide implication, where we need to understand how we can prevent such kind of crime. And it also impact not just national security, but there are transnational security issues and geopolitical issues that can crop up because of such kind of cases, which US was able to demonstrate that yes, it led to a large number of issues within the state also and across different countries also. Now, the second last aspect that I want to talk about, which is again focusing on cryptocurrency, the ease of cryptocurrency. And I believe many of you would be aware of it. Some of you might be, I would say, trading also in it. But the use of cryptocurrency in this digital age, why it is important for criminologists, is that we need to understand when we are tracing or when we are identifying who the perpetrator is. These are the ecosystem where there is a cross-border transfer. There are use of mixers and tumblers, which talks about different mule agents. Again, in the the traditional money laundering aspect, it was mule agents. So right now they will be able to mix different kind of platforms, where one platform will have XYZ crypto, and then it will subsequently lead to another chain of, I would say, dissemination of cryptocurrency. The third one is decentralized finance. Now, a lot of time we have certain kind of decentralized finance where it is not directly governed by some banks or so. So cryptocurrency utilizes that particular decentralized finance, that I have the authority, or I would say I have the autonomy to go forward and send money to XYZ. I don't need to go to banks. I have that kind of autonomy which is given because of decentralized finance, and that has been exploited by these cryptocurrency ecosystem. And there have been reports. There's a very recent chain analysis 2024 report which highlights that there's an increase in use of crypto for any kind of sanction evasion, any kind of ransomware, spyware, malware that comes into picture. And it is important that we know, or the cybersecurity expert or the criminologists who work in cybercrime, cyberspace, have understanding about blockchain based technology, blockchain based investigation practices. So these are few aspects which is important for us to know, that how we can map these technologies, these kind of cryptocurrency analysis using different ways. One of the way how we can go forward with it is network analysis. We can know that from A point to B point, if there is a transfer, who are the I would say identifiers whom we need to trace in order to understand that this is the cybercrime that has taken place. So those are few aspects which are there. And very recently I have been working on the research, my research with one of the scholars. We are focusing on online romance fraud, where we are trying to understand what is the propensity and why people commit online romance fraud, or why individuals fall for online romance fraud. So some of the research that we have done and through systematic review, we are able to understand that because online romance fraud is amalgamation or intersection of financial crime and emotional exploitation, few of the emotions or few of the personal behavior that a victim goes through is shame, self-belief, long-term trust erosion, and trauma-like symptoms. On the contrary, the criminals uses different tactics, which is again rod and reel. They go forward and shadow the victim over the period of time. They see when they are lonely, when they feel a need for love, affection, and there's a dedicated modus operandi that is being followed under the romance scam aspect. And this is more of grooming. Very recently, if you have read the news, there have been cases across globe where Indians are getting arrested for grooming patterns, especially for minors. So that's also one aspect where, based on romance fraud, it's more of sexual exploitation also, and also to get money. They'll be asking those minors or even majors to send money for XYZ thing, and they groom them. And there are different kind of stage narratives that I am stuck here. I want money because I want to travel to India to meet you, and those are aspects. And it is majorly aligning with the attachment theory, and focus on the persuasion psychology and the ambit of loneliness and the isolation that individuals have, based on which such kind of psychological harm has been growing. So those are few aspects that I wanted to highlight. And based on that, as a criminologist, how we can expand our boundaries in understanding what kind of harm, or what kind of threat, or what kind of fear of crime which is exploding. One is the reputational harm, which is focusing on individual and the goodwill and the reputation that individual has. Second is data related harm. It's more of not a physical data, but more of soft, or the digital copy of data that can get either corrupted, that can get exploited, that can get hacked. Then the psychological harm, which is not just on a physical space, but more on the cyberspace aspect, which is there. And then the algorithm harm, a lot of time based on a wrong click that we do, a lot of, I would say, algorithm gets manipulated, and we get, I would say, manipulated based on the ideology or different kind of, I would say, input that comes into picture, which could be focusing on violence, which could be focusing on certain kind of intimacy aspect, or different kind of pornographic content that comes into picture. So those are a few aspects that we need to understand as criminologists, that because of this digital divide or the advancement in the digital technology, there are not just physical harm, there is a hybrid harm which blurs boundary between what could be called as a criminality or criminal based offenses, crime based offenses, or what are civil wrongs, or which are just considered as moral wrong. So we need to understand that it is not just the incident of crime, but it is the ecosystem that we need to study to understand what motivates individual or perpetrator to commit crime, and how they get manipulated by other individual to even become victims of crime. So those are few aspects. And now going beyond, I would say, the traditional understanding of emerging crimes or how crime has emerged over time, I want to give few input to emerging students, scholars who might be interested in studying various aspects of cybercrime, that digital criminology is something which is increasing. And again, these are aspects that we use. I think digital criminology is something which is not utilized globally, but I would want to highlight it in that way, that digital criminology is an aspect which is globally expanding, and we as scholars and students needs to appreciate and acknowledge that it is not just the traditional way of the methodological aspect that we need to understand. We also need to highlight varied way of utilizing different methodology to conduct research. I have just highlighted four, but if in case required, please do reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you more detail how in the digital criminology aspect you can utilize aspects related to various other methods with other data collection procedure and data collection tool. So one is the computational social work, which involve or integrate social science perspective in a computational aspect, focusing on cyberspace, darknet, language processing model, the ongoing AI aspects which are there, where they are creating voice cloning, fraudulent script, etc., etc. All of you might have heard about ethnography. The growing trend is digital ethnography. I would highly recommend scholars to conduct their research in digital ethnography, where they are able to see the impressions and observation in a digital forum, in an online forum, rather than you are seeing in a physical space, or I would say in terms of interacting with individually face to face. Third thing is experimental designs. Use softwares, use certain tools which will help you detect emotional manipulation via voice, facial expression analysis, or gaze point analysis, which helps us understand scam susceptibility. It could help us understand deepfakes, how individual understand, and what are the ways how individual can understand which one is a deepfake or which one is a genuine thing. And the last one is, which I would want to highlight, is the traditional way of mixed method, but the use of digital tools and digital platforms, where you can use those tools as both quantitative and qualitative. So when you're using, let's say, a social media analysis or blockchain tracing, it's more of a quantitative aspect. But when you do offender interviews, that again aligns on a qualitative aspect, getting it into a mixed method study. So these are few of the methodological frontier that I would want you to explore as emerging scholars in criminology, where you could know that these are the aspects which are studied very nascently. It is I would say a very niche area which has not even been published much. But again, I would want more and more criminologists to come into this field, publish in good, I would say, journals, so that your research is being explored and I would say recognized globally, not just in journals and I would say magazines, which is disseminated locally or nationally. So that's one aspect that I want to highlight. And just to assist you in these research frontiers, I want to highlight few research tools that you can utilize. One is, there are a number of public documents. Let's say if you want to just focus on criminology aspect, there are public courtroom judgments which you can use for aspects of content analysis, document analysis, which is available digitally. Second is Interpol, or I would say Europol reports. Again, those are internationally reports which are there, but there are other, I would say, sources also which provides e-documents or reports available online. There are blockchain explorers which helps you understand public data. It might not help you understand criminal data, but you can at least have basic exploration of what blockchain technology is, how blockchain mapping and blockchain tracing works. And then there are open source intelligence information, where based on public data, open source data, you can trace an individual's profile, trace individuals identifiers. And again, if you want to do a social media analysis, then there are social media archives, which again because there are personal information and individual information, it also needs to be seen that how you present it, so not to lead to any kind of ethical issues. So that is one aspect that you need to highlight. And I would want to focus on one essential thing, that because of online resources, it also depends on how we are privy to such information. And I want to highlight this: the information which is privy to a tier 1 city is not privy to individuals and scholars in tier 3. So I would highly recommend to collaborate with scholars in different institute, so that you will be able to work on research from different lenses. So I highly recommend, and I personally do that: go and work, research with scholars, professors across university, across different countries, because that will give you perspective not just from your institute or the locally derived information and knowledge that you have, but it will give you a international exposure on that aspect. So just as in the first few slides I was highlighting about the traditional criminology moving into the technology facilitated technology aspect, so we had large number of traditional theories which didn't directly focus on the digital sphere or digital platform. But now a lot of research have been done, a lot of paper have come into picture which have reinterpreted how traditional theories work in digital space. Routine activity theory has highlighted the ambit of lack of guardianship because of not high protocols, laws, and regulations which are there. The neutralization theory has highlighted that a lot of people rationalize their behavior, saying that it's just online, I didn't mean it, it's not me, it's not my profile. Very recently, there is a CM in Northeast who have highlighted that no, that's not my video, and it's not me who have posted. But when something comes online and from an official channel, it becomes a national issue, and a lot of, I would say, media channel has picked it up and have asked accountability and responsibility for such online video. And then social learning theory, we have also seen that even with the differential association theory, which talks about learning by interacting, and that is also not limited to physical space. With the advent of technology, we have also seen online subcultures, online deviant subculture, or online violent subculture, which has come into picture. And the last one, again, as I pointed out, there are numerous theories, but because of paucity of time, I'm just covering few of it. Even the organizational criminology, which talks about drug mafia, organized crime, even the ambit of how drug lord works. Now it has been, I would say, transition, or it has moved from the cyber criminal aspect, which talks about not just having a physical firm, but even enterprises or organizations which are digitally present and may not even have a physical firm or physical space, is considered under the organizational criminology framework. So those are few aspects which I wanted to highlight from a research perspective: what you can publish, how you can publish, and where all you can surely go and publish and get different kind of funding for it. But all of this comes with one, I would say, caveat, that you need to follow ethics, laws, governance, and different kind of research ethics that comes into picture, which highlights that even if you are doing an open source intelligence, it should not be invasion of privacy, or it should be more of taking it for research, not for a surveillance aspect. There have been cases of predictive policing, but predictive policing biases have also been introduced, where individual would have observer biases. What they see online, they might have an aspect of no, males cannot be victims of intimate partner violence, female can be. Even the media that we are seeing, the media that portrays, a lot of it is highlighting certain kind of crimes as maybe a comedy spree, or they are highlighting it as a very normalized perspective which is there. So those are aspect. And again, we are growing in terms of evidence, we are growing in terms of identifying who could be the culprit, what could be the various way of admissibility of different digital evidences, even in terms of the cross-border jurisdiction aspect, even in terms of political tension or deepfakes which are created. So these are issues which are cropping, but slowly we are going. And these are also research area that you can govern, where you can try to learn more about algorithm fairness and biases. I have recently published a paper to talk about the bias, AI bias in focusing on criminal justice framework. So it is published in a journal. I think the issue is pending for next month. So the paper focuses on usage, which is completely a secondary data usage of different AI and LLM models to create pictures of how do you see a police investigation, how do you see a police station, how do you see a policeman. And all of that was biased because the data set is biased towards men across globe. So we were not able to see females as police officers, much police officers. It was biased towards that individuals from a darker skin color was targeted, individuals from lower economic status were targeted. So those are biases which we studied, and the paper highlights that. And if anyone would want that paper, I'll be happy to share that paper, which focuses on this. And again, completely on secondary data. So it's not that always and always you have to publish data, or you have to do research which is properly primary data. There are large number of data sets which is available in public forum, and with the use of different public softwares which you can contribute towards, I would say, research. So I would want to emphasize and motivate all of you that don't just focus on an empirical study giving some result. It should have a policy emphasis, or at least have a normative dialogue or debate perspective, that you can suggest that, okay, this is one aspect. What is the issue in the current spree of AI or LLM model or the natural learning process which is being infused? And all of you might be using chat GPT, perplexity. Those are all AI based and LLM based models. So are we provided with biased information? So those are things I would want to highlight each one of you, that please do explore such thing. So just to wind up, so that we I can take questions and few more, I would say, few more discussion oriented dialogues we could have. So I have discussed this. So just a last point that I want to highlight for all of you. These are few research topics. Again, these are not at all taken either by me also, but I would be more than happy to do research on this, and I would say sharing this with everyone, so that if in case you are interested, if in case you want to collaborate, maybe in some months I might be able to focus on these topics. And because I've just shared questions, it depends on methodology and how you do it. So it's not a copyrighted aspects. If you want to take, please go ahead and use these research questions, because these are aspects which are not yet answered. So it would be helpful for you to go ahead with it. And for those, you can use different kind of forensic psychological tools, the traditional method of interview and experiment, a network graph modeling, a comparative policy analysis, and even the aspect of the open science papers which are available for any kind of systematic review or even narrative review. So last thing which I want to end with is that crime is now slowly graduating from a physical space to digital space, and even the victimological aspect is moving from the traditional physical harm to the digital harm. So we need to also see criminology from an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary perspective, and following all the ethics aspect, we need to utilize this opportunity, which over the period of time might slowly die down. So when you are, I would say, a generation who have been provided with this opportunity, utilize it to your best, so that you will be able to grow and make your name in the field of criminology, not just nationally but globally. So I would end here. I thank all of you to be a to all of you who have been patient listeners, and I would now want to open it for any question, any clarity that you want to get for anything that I've shared, and even in terms of any questions that you might have for this particular session that we have finished. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for hearing, and I would be more than happy to hear from all of you what you would want to say, what you want to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vipin, for that extremely insightful and thought provoking lecture. On behalf of the Indian Society of Criminology, I sincerely thank you for sharing your scholarship and valuable perspectives with us today. Your reflections on crime emerging in the digital space were really profound and eye-opening. The way you had seamlessly applied traditional criminological theories to digital crimes is thought-provoking. I am certain this will inspire students and scholars alike to explore across the area. We are currently living in a digital era. We are no longer moving towards, we are in it. And there are a lot of digitally digital crimes that are coming up. Like, for example, the Telegram chat room crimes of South Korea, where uh, people were using nationally, uh, where they were using pornographic deepfakes of their own family members. And we also have the Online Safety Act. So this was a very important topic to address in the current scenario. We will now open the floor for a brief interaction. If there are any questions or reflections from participants, you may kindly raise them or post your questions in the chat box. We will try to take in as many questions as time permits.
I think there are a few questions which were coming. Let me just see.
Yes, there is one question. I will read it out. If we do research on exploitation of DEFI, crypto mixers, and tumblers in using cross border money laundering, what is the future scope of these researchers, particularly what area ED or FIU India is currently lacking comparative to Europol or Interpol capacity in addressing these?
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'm unable to pronounce the name, but thank you very much for the question. And again, as I have highlighted in my session also, that these are areas which are emerging, and a lot of Western studies have happened. If you see reports of chain analysis and few other, I would say, enforcement agency globally, maybe Interpol or even Europol, you'll be able to see that they have done a lot of investigation, and based on that, there have been cases of prosecution of offenders and perpetrators who have committed crime based on cryptocurrency and usage of different kind of, I would say, method, and few of it I have also highlighted. So where does India stand and where does Indian researchers stand? I would highly recommend that you start from the international framework, because in Indian context you will get very less data set to do such kind of research, because a lot of these criminals come from, I would say, different countries, not purely based from India. It might get difficult for you to get data. So my humble suggestion would be that you start from a global perspective and see what are the different trends, emerging trends of commission of crime usage, the decentralized finance or the tumbler aspect of the crypto mixers, or different kind of cryptocurrency or blockchain technology. And then you slowly see that what is the research gap, that why it is not done in South Asia or why it is not done in India. And then that could help you formulate maybe even a master's thesis or a PhD thesis also, to give recommendation, policy recommendation to Indian government, that these are the lacunas, these are the loopholes, and that's where we would want to highlight the aspect of usage of such kind of crime, where any kind of preventive method needs to be enforced by the Ministry of Technology, or even any other, I would say, department who would want to take onus of such kind of preventive steps. So I hope I was able to give you a glimpse of what all you could do. The scope is huge with the secondary data or publicly available data. It is huge in terms of what all you could research. Next, let me just see. Okay. I'm just reading. Just give me a moment. I've just, yeah, requested to post that. Thank you. I just wanted to know about crypto-enabled money laundering. Oh, so that's something which is very, I would say, evident in today's time. So previously, money laundering was that if I have money in my bank, I will transfer it to mule accounts, and those mule accounts will transfer it to another account in different country. So there are three steps of money laundering, starting from placement, then integration, and then withdrawal. So previously, it used to happen with money which was in bank. Now money in the bank, when it gets transferred, it is easier to trace, easier to track. But when we talk about cryptocurrency, rather than sending money, what is happening is I will invest or I will buy crypto, which again is anonymous, which again is deregulated or not highly regulated. So I will be able to send crypto which is of a higher value, and people will be able to transact in crypto and send money to any individual which is there. So that's what crypto enabled money laundering talks about. I hope that answers your question. Crypto is done. And then I am a aspiring psychologist pursuing undergraduation. I would like to ask if I could reach out to you. Surely, surely. I think I'll just share my screen again so that it is, the email address is there. You can reach out to me. So you can just see here, this is the email address. Feel free to reach out to me here and drop an email. I'll be more than happy to help you with that. So you can just drop me an email and I would be happy to answer or collaborate with you in terms of any research thing, publication thing, anything related to future prospect in this field. So that would be good for me to also know the emerging trends and emerging scholars in this field. Okay, and next, let me just go. That's done. Okay, there are a number of questions. Yes, sorry, it's taking a while. Sibraj has asked, thank you for this. How do the field of clinical psychology, forensic intersect with? I think, see, clinical psychology is more about the clinical practice and the assessment aspect, talking about the uh, symptoms, which could be more neurological in nature, which could be more cognitive in nature. But it is important that when we do an interdisciplinary study, I'll give an example. So there is a neurocriminology discipline which is growing. So there we are talking about what all could be the neurological issues which could lead an individual to commit crime. Same way you can utilize interdisciplinary, which is forensic psychology, which talks about the use of forensic tools and understanding psychology of the offender or victim to facilitate any kind of justice delivery. Same way you can focus on digital criminology, which is using the aspect of digital space to understand the criminological aspect. So there are large number of, I would say, intersection or interlinkages that you could see. And as a criminal psychologist, or as I would say a clinical psychologist also, you would be able to facilitate an intersection between your discipline and the other discipline. You'll always and always find a certain kind of overlaps, certain kind of intersection, which will help you either do your teaching, either do your practice, or even do research onto it. So I hope I was able to answer your question. Anisha has a question I would wish to ask. What is the upcoming job role for future criminology? Oh, so very good. I think this is one major question that a lot of students ask, that after criminology, where we could do. So I would want to highlight, because I teach financial criminology at my university, which focuses on fraud examination, usage of AI and other upcoming technologies to understand financial crime, understand fraud. So if in case you want to align, so cyberspace is one, I would say, area which is exploding. So over and above your degree that you're doing, I would highly recommend that you do a certificate course or diploma which focuses on cybersecurity, blockchain analysis, or cryptocurrency analysis, because anywhere when you will go 5 years from now would be using such kind of technology for analysis, for investigation and prosecution, and you will have an edge. And there are multiple, I would say, consultancy firm, multiple global organization who would want you, and that could be even an entry level job as an analyst or as an investigator or as a technician who's helping them to understand few nitty-gritty of cyberspace or cybersecurity. So the pathway is exploding now globally, and even in India. Even if you want, you have, let's say, got your expertise in financial crime studies, big four are ones where you can reach. They have a dedicated forensic wing which also include criminologists as part of it. Those are aspects. Then a large number of think tanks are hiring criminologists who have awareness about cyber expertise, who have understanding about AI and LLM models. So those are few aspects which are there, which I would highly recommend. And in forensic psychology, I would highly recommend that you should be well versed with the forensic tools which are emerging, not the previous pen and paper tools, or something which should be your, I would say, forte. You should be well versed with EEG. You should be well versed with emotional tracking. You should be well versed with layered voice analysis. You should be well versed with facial expression analysis, how gaze tracking works. All of these are new and emerging equipments to understand various kind of criminality, to understand various kind of criminal propensity or criminal behavior. So that's where I think you should utilize those technology for your benefit and improve your career trajectory. So that's where I would want to highlight. Could there be any potential research area with digital crimes against older adults that are still, oh, it's not underexplored. I want to highlight this. There have been studies globally. I want to highlight, I was part of one of the study as I would say consultant or so, which happened in University of Portsmouth, where they have done exponential study to understand phishing, understand various kind of scams which happens to older adults. Even in India, we have seen reports which have done, but again, in Indian context, some of the other, I would say, facets might be less. So it depends on what variables you choose, what kind of data collection tools you do. But if you do just online search on different research databases, you'll find ample number of studies done on older adults and who have faced any kind of digital crime or financial crime which is there. So I would recommend you to do that. So uh, then I wish to pursue my PhD in it. Very good. I think that would be a very niche area, and I wish you the best. I think if you want to do your PhD in that area, which was focusing on understanding the blockchain, crypto, DeFi, and all those things, those are, I think, unexplored area. And I wish you all the best. And I hope you are able to find suitable mentors who would be able to guide you better, maybe both nationally or internationally, because that is an area which needs to be considered in terms of analysis and in terms of research aspect. When Santosh have asked when collusive crime, when both parties are benefited, like illegal is assisted, but it become very how to track it. So again, I want to point out I'm associated with International Wildlife Association, which is centered headquartered in Africa. So now there are number of, I would say, tracking devices. So even I would say some or the other way, a lot of, I would say, invasive and non-invasive techniques have been done in order to trace different kind of smuggling. So one is geotagging, when you can track different kind of animal products which are there. The second thing is which focuses on tracing after the smuggling has started. So now with the dark web and other kind of, I would say, the onion router and other platforms which focuses on any kind of smuggling, there are different kind of filters and firewalls which are created in different national jurisdiction, where if such kind of smuggling happens, there are different kind of notification, different kind of triggers that comes into picture. And I'm talking about more Western context, not in Indian context per se, because in India we are still focusing on a very basic framework of cyber crime analysis. We have not reached to a level where a digital monitoring in terms of smuggling and all can be done, but we are still, as I would say, focusing on the cybercrime perspective, we are still doing, when there is any kind of inquiry, when there is any kind of, I would say, investigation, we do social media analysis, we do path analysis of how funds have flown or from one area to another, if there is any kind of money laundering, any kind of crypto enabled money laundering also which has happened. So those are few ways how you can track such kind of online wildlife crime or environmental crime also, and not related to only wildlife crime, but even environmental crime also that comes into picture. In the cybercrime, difficult to find out culprits because it maintains anonymity. There is jurisdiction difficult. So my question to reduce this difficulty. See, with the advent of technology, there are pros and there are cons. One aspect is, yes, people do use VPNs, encryption, etc., to go forward and anonymize themselves. And jurisdiction is an issue when it becomes transnational, but when it is within the country, there have now been cases. And now I want to highlight that we have a number of cyber experts who are hired by cyber cell across different metropolitans and different states, who are able to help prosecute such criminals. And I have seen number of cases where minors and teenagers who are involved without any kind of understanding of pros and cons, they are also been, I would say, apprehended, and they are given, I think, either warning or they are sent to juvenile justice board to see what all could be the various punishment aspect. And even adults have been prosecuted. So now we are improving people even who are anonymous with different kind of path analysis, where we are able to see which particular IP address it is. Even if they are bouncing IP address using VPN, there are techniques to understand. So there are pattern analysis which usually is being done to understand where and how they are doing it. So there's a dedicated protocol which is followed when we do these kind of cyber forensic aspect. So I hope I answered your question, Chandrika. Harita has asked, how can we integrate feminist criminology to explore not only women as victims of crime, but also perpetrators, co-perpetrator agents? I think that goes for a research if you want to go ahead with it. And yes, there have been cases. There have been cases of trafficking itself where the perpetrators are females who are grooming children. Very recently, I want to highlight, I think this could be a case where all of you could do. There have been cases of grooming where online minors are groomed by females in order to trap males and then subsequently file POXO case or rape case against them. So yes, I would say feminist criminology, or here what you have highlighted is more related to men's study, and you are trying to study aspect of men being victims of crime, or maybe even female committing crime against female also. So those are aspect, and it is a research worthy thing depending on what kind of crime you are focusing on. That you could do a social media analysis, you can do a systematic review, you can also do a pilot study or a primary study on those things. So I hope that helps you, Harita. Mauritia has asked, are existing cyber laws sufficient to address AI driven? Very recently, I think 2026 itself, there has been a recent law which highlights on AI usage, and it has extended over IT Act. So I would recommend all of you to use or read that AI regulation which has come from Ministry of IT. It covers all of this. It covers the usage of AI to create cloning. It covers usage of AI or LLM model to come out with deepfakes, etc., etc. So time and about government with consultation with different experts. So our university was also one of the stakeholders who could give comments to it, because we have a center for AI ethics and regulation. So we do take into account such kind of practices which are growing. So yes, there are laws, but is it enough? Never. Law will never be enough. So it is important that whatever we have, we are able to read and see what are the lacunas, and then contribute in terms of what all we could provide. That these are few of the aspects that needs to be studied more, and these needs to be uh, looked out for more research or more policy driven approach. So I think somebody has asked my email address. I'll just drop it here also so that all of you can reach out. Okay, there are few of the questions. Let me just, I think there's one last question. Would you be able to tell us more about algorithm obfuscation and how it relates to blockchain and technology? Okay, so when we talk about algorithm obfuscation, it is more about how I am able to falsify, or how I am able to manipulate algorithms. So this is usually when if any organized criminal wants to brainwash or wants to create certain kind of ideology or belief system to different individual, so they will, based on the jurisdiction which are there, they will be able to contribute to certain videos which would be sponsored. So it also involves monetary aspects in terms of how an individual would be able to contribute towards one content or another content. So that is one aspect which is majorly used by number of organized criminal. There have been cases of, I would say, political algorithm obfuscation also, which is obscuring correct data against the fake data or fabricated data. So that's one aspect which is very important when we focus on the algorithm obfuscation. And again, these are, I would say, a recent trend where people aren't able to understand if it's a genuine or if it's something which is more related to a deep fake, or it is more a fabricated version. I'll give you a case. I think in Russia or US, the president or president's photo or video was something which was um, uh, fabricated and made into something which was completely different. People were believing it, and here they are doing it based on, again, these are individuals who are cyber experts. They manipulate certain scripts, they manipulate the JavaScripts or codes which are there, and it becomes very difficult for us to understand that is it actually a genuine information, or is it something which is completely different. And they go forward to do this based on a certain kind of functional advantage that they have. So that's what I would want to add, that they go and do this because they are able to use a particular website, use a particular organizational detail, and they are able to see the inner working of it. They're able to see how they are going forward, how they are changing certain kind of algorithm which people are seeing, how people are going forward. And the blockchain and money laundering aspect is the aspect of how they are able to get funding, or how they are able to make money out of it. So when they are changing the algorithm or manipulating the system, Like the example could be of geopolitical aspect or political obfuscation, where they are able to manipulate a website, political website, putting content which seems like coming from the government, but they are changing and people are seeing that, oh, government is promoting such kind of algorithm, such kind of information. So to stop it, then they will ask government to send money. So the way that they commit the crime is either a crypto related thing, and blockchain technology is just focusing on the way a crime, the transfer would be done. So it is the medium of transferring fund. It's the way how I can utilize without being traced, without being tracked. So rather than using like net banking also, there are other ways in terms of highlighting the transfer of fund, transfer of money, or transfer of any kind of even cryptocurrency that I'm talking about. So this is, I think, in a generic way that I tried to explain how you can utilize the aspect of algorithm obfuscation or even the blockchain and money laundering, which is there. I hope that answers your question, because I could see that you are interested in such field and you would want to do research, and I'm very happy to see those emerging fields which are there. So hope you succeed, and you do research which would be well renowned not just nationally but globally. So thank you very much for all the question. I don't see any other questions. So I believe, yeah, I don't see any other
Yes.
questions. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for patiently answering all those questions. So participants can still ask questions. We still have time. If I may, can I raise another question? Okay. So my
Please go
question
ahead.
is
Please go
regarding
ahead.
the Yeah, my question is regarding the Online Safety Act of 2023. This was introduced in the UK in order to protect minors. That was the original intent. So this act is basically asking people to submit their government IDs in order to access internet and certain other sites. But there are also criticisms revolving it, saying that this is an act of censorship and government-based surveillance. So in the area of consent, anonymity, and also there are issues of government databases being very underprotected and government IDs getting leaked. So I would like to hear your opinion on it, sir.
See, it's not just few countries that you have mentioned. Even in India, if you'll see, I believe many of you might have heard about the DPDP Act, which talks about the digital identity and digital protection, which is taken from the GDPR, which is very popular in Europe. But we have taken very nascent information or nascent identifiers or clauses from that particular act to India, because as you have pointed out, the government censorship, government monitoring, government surveillance, even in the DPDP Act, where it talks about that my personal identity, my personal information cannot be taken by a private organization without my consent. On contrary, it allows that if government want, for government security or the state security or state benefit or states, I would say onus, that state would want to take it for some or the other reasoning, they can do it without my consent. So the state censorship or state surveillance is something which is at questions for a large number of time, even with the Aadhaar thing. So if you have read the Aadhaar judgment in 2018, it also Supreme Court did take a note that these are aspects which is more sensitive information, and it requires certain kind of personal consent which needs to be taken into consideration. So I think we are still fighting that battle. Uh, Either here and either there are large number of laws or rules that even in India we are facing, where government has, I would say, an upper hand. And even the recent uh, IT Act change, which is the not information technology but the Income Tax Act, where if government has any doubt or they have any kind of suspicion about your financial transaction, without your consent they can go through your social media, go through your various other social media platforms, messaging platforms, to see that if you have got money illegitimately or there are certain kind of transfer that you have made illegitimately. Again, in a democratic sphere, it needs to be a democratic way of having such kind of law. But in today's time, if you'll see, it is a different case altogether. So those are aspects where a large number of laws which might be beneficial to the government gets, I would say, enacted. But there have been, I would say, dissenting views, dissenting voices, and I think that will continue, because at one or the other point, it is important to understand that it is personal safety, personal security, and individuals' personal information which need not to be utilized, because again, there have been cases of the Aadhaar database breaches in India itself. So those are aspects which are ongoing, and I could just say that yes, I agree on your part that you have highlighted, but there have been, I would say, dissenting voices, aspects of certain kind of appeals which have been made, certain kind of comments which have been made, and to some extent, some gets addressed, and to most extent, many just get ignored because it doesn't curtail to government's benefit, or it doesn't curtail to any aspect of the public sentiment which is of a larger interest. So those are aspects which I would say is something which needs to be taken into consideration, and I agree on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for answering my question. We still can take one or two more questions. If you have any, participants can unmute their mic and say or put it in the chat box.
And for anyone who requires any paper, my if you go to ResearchGate, most of my paper are public. If some paper are not yet published, please feel free to write to me. I'll be happy to share my research papers. But I make sure the research is free rather than putting under firewall. So I put all my research paper, book chapters, whatever I have done in ResearchGate. You can ask me, you can send me a message. I will be able to send you. So that's how you can get my papers, and some are open access, so you can get it from the journal website also. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, please, if anybody wants to unmute and ask, I'll be happy to answer any question.
Question, sir. It's by Kishore Kumar. I'll read out the question. What is your perspective on people who unknowingly become money mule victims and only realize when they are in legal trouble?
Yeah, thank you, Kishore, for the question. I'll take it with an example. So people do become money mule unknowingly, but the transaction when it happens is not unknowingly. I'll give you an example. Very recently, there was a elder person who went to get a SIM card. He was duped with having his identity being duplicated to create a bank account under his name. So his number was there, everything was there, because it needs to be authenticated with Aadhaar. So the number needs to be his only. So when the account is created, the person did not get any information. But when there was a credit, that so and so 1,000 rupees has been credited. Now the person thought, oh, this is my money, I will withdraw it. Somebody has mistakenly put it. Now that is when a legal trouble can happen. Because if you will not report any kind of unaccountable money that you have received, then you will be in a legal trouble. But as soon as you get it, because until unless there is a source of income, which is an illegitimate source of income that has come to your account, you cannot be prosecuted, you cannot be arrested, because there's just an account which is created, there's nothing illegal which is happening. But if under your name, if there is any kind of account where there is money coming, you need to flag it. Now second thing is, if let's say the number is also different, but your Aadhaar card is used, that is very, I would say, negligible cases. But I'm giving you other example also, which I have consulted with few of the cyber cell police officers, and we have found this out, and I'm giving you a way how we can trace it. So when you go to UAID, which is the Aadhaar database, there is a history, transaction history as one of the element which is there. You click onto it, it will tell you where all your Aadhaar is used. Now Aadhaar is something which is used to get your bank account, to get sim, etc, etc. Everywhere bank, in any banking transaction, Aadhaar is now mandatory. So you can see if at, like, it shows till last 6 months which all places where all your Aadhaar card is used. You can see that if there is any transaction which is not authorized by you, you should go and flag it. But if you don't flag it, which means that you are in connivance in that particular activity. So these are few ways that you can utilize. These are few ways where you can see if you are being duped into it, you are being defrauded. You can flag it, and that would be something which would help you not become a victim and being stated as a perpetrator and offender in the entire financial crime spree.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. There's another question, sir. Do you
So do you
think
think
Indian
Indian
criminology?
integrated penological research on cyber offenders, or there is such a gap is in research and cybercrime policy formulation? In cybercrime, I would still say that we are in early stages, and I think that was the reason that I wanted this session to be delivered on this topic itself. But for prison, we have, I think, number of, I would say, research. And but one thing I will want to highlight and emphasize is that research is never enough. You'll always and always have limitation to a research, and that becomes a research gap for the subsequent, I would say, research. So never ever research is enough and or sufficient. There is always a scope of doing even further research, but there are large number of studies which is done on prison or correctional setting. But if you compare it with the cybercrime perspective, a large number of law based or survey based cybercrime research happens, but it doesn't capture the essence of what psychology or what kind of perpetration or what kind of victimization that we are looking into. So I'll highly recommend that the ambit of cybercrime research needs to be explored more. And I hope, like, there were around 90 plus students here, or scholars or even faculty members could be there. I would highly recommend that you should motivate your students, or you should be motivated to pursue cybercrime research. And I want to highlight that because I also supervise a number of students both in my university and outside. I have personally taken large number of research which is focusing on cybercrime. There are around 5 6, I would say, research project that I'm focusing on, which is focusing directly on cybercrime or allied aspects of cybercrime. So I hope, John, that helps you understand where we stand in terms of both prison studies or cybercrime research studies.
So that seems to be the last question. So thank you very much, sir, for answering all questions patiently, and thank you to all participants for all the thought-provoking questions. As we come to the close of today's session of the Crime, Justice, and Society Dialogues, I would I would like to formally place on record our heartfelt thanks to our speaker, Dr. Vipin Vijay Nair, for delivering such an enriching lecture. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to the leadership and office bearers of the Indian Society of Criminology for their constant encouragement and support in making this lecture series possible. My thanks also goes to all participants whose presence and active engagement have made the session vibrant and purposeful. This lecture marks the beginning of a sustained academic journey. We are delighted to share that the upcoming volumes of this series will feature distinguished scholars from across institutions. Volume 2 will be presided by Dr. Misty Forrest, Campbell University, USA, and it will be on 28 February 2026. Volume 3 by Dr. Michael L. Vallan, Jindal Global Law School. Volume 4 by Dr. D. Rufus, Sardar Patel University of Police, Security and Criminal Justice. Volume 5 by Dr. Yulia Zablena, University of Alabama, USA, and Volume 6 by Dr. S. Shankar Prakash, Wildlife Monitoring Enforcement System. We look forward to your continued participation in these forthcoming dialogue, which promises to broaden perspectives and deepen critical engagement with contemporary criminological issues. I kindly request all of you to regularly visit the ISC website and follow our official social media handles for announcements, registration details, and updates regarding future sessions. Once again, thank you all for being a part of this meaningful beginning. We look forward to seeing you all in the next volume of the Crime, Justice, and Society Dialogues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your lecture as well.